Hey guys, and I am back with another tank review. It's been a while since I've really done one, so let's jump right into it. As you can see in front of me is a pile of metal. It isn't necessarily something I would call a tank, but I mean, I guess this is the Japanese offering to what a super heavy tank would be. I don't like it. I don't think it should be in the game. I think there's lots of things wrong with it. I really don't think there's a way to buff it to make it a better tank, other than basically give it, better accuracy. I mean, the aim time can stay the same, but the accuracy needs to be much better than what it is. It's a rolling fortress. This is true. The armor on it actually is really really good, but a lot of the basic things wrong with this thing is that there's so much flat armor. People already know that. The reason why the E100 is kind of tough is because any round that goes into the lower plate from either above or sometimes in a face hug is going to bounce. Just like kind of like how the IS-7 is the same exact way. If you throw yourself into a fight and you're face hugging someone, it's really hard to pin it. This thing in a face hug is so high that usually your gun in most any other tank, like let's look at the 113 real quick. You can see where the gun is on the 113, and then look at where So you kind of see it. Like the gun on this one isn't quite as high, but with as an E5 or something like that, your gun is directly level with this flat part here. And while these two may not be actual weak points, anything on the outside itself is pinnable. If you try and tilt yourself away a little bit and angle, you still have to hide this part as well. So you have to keep in mind that this also, which I think is also 260, it's still pinnable to flat armor. The advantages of playing in a mouse, which is another super heavy tank in the game, the mouse or the E100, they have sloped armor to a certain degree and then no weak spots when you throw that armor in a certain direction if you're reverse poking. The mouse is really good. It's rear turreted and has ridiculous amounts of armor everywhere you look. The only weak spot it has, really, in a side poke like that is the turret face itself. And you should know by now that when playing a mouse, you keep your turret looked away at all times when you're not firing. And you're zigzagging to make them try and hit your lower plate at the worst possible angle. This does not have those advantages. And I mean, it's not a tank that I hate, per se, but I do not like it. I mean, I could go on for hours about why I don't like it, but I'm just going to kind of tell you that, I mean, if you have an affinity for Japanese heavies, and you kind of like them, first off, I have to ask you what's wrong with yourself. Obviously, if you're not asking what's wrong with yourself in a situation like this, you've obviously have kind of come into a situation where you don't really know what you're doing when you're grinding these tanks anymore. And I'm going to ask you to please stop at the OI. The OI was recently nerfed, and this thing was recently buffed. So, I mean, it's still trash, even though it's been recently buffed. I've never had to badmouth the tank as much as I want to badmouth this thing. And what it looks like, and what it really, really looks like, is this thing, I refuse to call it a tank, this thing, this metal monstrosity, this box, this whatever the heck this is, it literally looks like it wants to be right in between the E100 and the mouse. It literally, the E100 has a 150. The 128, which is basically a 130 mil on the mouse, and this thing has a 140 mil. Its armor is basically in between both the E100 and the mouse. It basically has everything in between that you would think of. Even its speed is in between both of those tanks. But you should choose either one of those over this tank. You can see that my crew really isn't even all that good, because the one offering of a crew grinder you get is the Japanese heavy, the type 6 heavy. I want to say that is the Tiger 1, but at tier 6. Where are you? Yeah, heavy tank number 6. The one tank you get to try and grind this crew out is so awful in tier that you probably just stop. You know, just I made this thing work. I've played it a little bit. I actually kind of enjoy it in tier 6 matches, sometimes tier 7, but in no way in the world could you ever hope to fight things in tier 8 in a situation where you can't deal with stuff. But I digress, because we're going to get back to the type 5. So if you somehow grinded enough games in the lower tier tanks and haven't actually slit your wrist yet, you then would walk into a situation where you're looking at the Type 5 after going all the way through, and for the love of God, don't free experience. It's not worth it. You get to this thing, and you're welcome to what is essentially a 140 mil, 3.5 seconds rate of fire, which basically gives you, you're firing every 14 seconds. Okay, that's not bad, but it also literally right in between the mouse, which is I think 12 seconds, the E100, which is roughly 17 seconds, and then you get 14 seconds here. So it's like I don't understand what's up with this thing. Not to mention, I mean, the dispersion isn't that bad when you start putting vents and everything else on this thing. Maybe BIA make it a little bit better. You might drop you like the 0.37, 0.36. You know, you're going to see in 0.35 if you run chocolate. I mean, aim time will probably come down to about almost 1.9 to 2.0. Yeah, 0.20 kind of. Sorry, 2.0. Sorry, to the for what it's worth, but it's just so slow. It's the way Artie is right now. You grinding for this tank is literally asking for you to rage every single time you jump into a game, and I'm just going to ask you to not do it. That's been my 6-minute rant of why you really shouldn't get this tank. I've never had to do this before in a review. I like the way it looks. It's just worthless. So I can't really figure out why in the world you would play it. And you see lots of Type 4s. Like, people are like, I'm getting there, and I've seen like maybe 4 or 5 Type 4s in the game. It's like I've never since the Type 5 has come out, I have never seen anyone else in this thing since I've gotten it. No one else, because it's not in the meta. There's no artillery eats you for lunch. Even if you put a super heavy spall liner, you're still getting hit for 800, 900 damage. You're being chipped away at before you even get into the fight. And then when you do get into the fight, everything that has anyone who has a relative idea on how to pin flat armor with, basically, sometimes with AP rounds, because, the roll can go up high enough, you don't even have to spam APCR or heat to pin this thing. And from the side, anywhere here seems to be the ammo rack, and you lose it in the first shot every single time. So not only can you not fix your tracks or worry about anything else, you are going to get ammo racked if you get hit in the side near the front of the tank. It's just going to happen. Gosh. Not to mention the Japanese have this thing, but they never really had APCR or heat. Some of the medium tanks get those, and I want to say those because those tanks at a certain level, after they got to like the STA and the Type 61 and obviously then the STB, those tanks were then standardized by NATO. So the 90 mils come from things like the Pershing and, refined versions of the 90 millimeter on other guns, the Patton, and therefore on, along those lines. So they have derivatives of basically really good guns, and therefore that's why at tier 8 in the medium line it gets much better. But in the Japanese line that you get here, this is the same engine you get on every tank past the OI experimental. So that basically means each tank comparatively gets heavier and heavier the higher you go up. So you're losing horsepower per ton every single time you go up a tank. Just mind-bogglingly stupid. So in the OI experimental, you're actually kind of flying around for a tank that weighs like 75 tons. You're just race car. Then the OI is a little bit worse. Then the OHO, then the ONI, and then it just starts going downhill. It's like, no. So, all of those tanks, I might have mentioned the ONI and OHO in a different direction, but they're awful either way. You look at it, it's just like the guns are all right. You just get in situations where you can't pin stuff. And I mean, the average pin on this is 282, and it's armor piercing, so that's actually decent because it doesn't get the normalization of either heat, which you can't actually get through spaced armor, or APCR, which then basically peels off at range. It's basically the same. So 282 is good enough, but it just isn't. It just isn't. No matter what you want to shoot at, things are always prepared for you, and you're never getting shots in. Why? Because you're never there soon enough. You're just not. You're just not, and it's frustrating. It really actually is kind of frustrating. So, the one good thing, it looks good with the Clan Wars camo. You get 6 guys, and you don't really have a tank to actually really train them with. It looks cool, and that's about it, honestly. So I mean, I'm just gonna tell you, stay away from it. Honestly, that's all I'm gonna say with that. So, without further ado, we're gonna switch over to I guess a replay for it. You have no idea how long it took me to get a decent replay of this tank. I tried so hard to just find anything that was relevant to showing off the capabilities of this tank, and it's like, you have no idea how difficult that was. I must have played like 25 games in the thing the other day, just going, I need replays for this. Excuse me, let me give it a shot. And I did that. And this is the best one I got. And it wasn't even really something that I thought was good, honestly. People ask me to play it all the time on stream, and it's just like, why? Do you want me to hate myself? I can't figure out why they want me to always play it. So let's do ourselves a favor, actually, and turn on chat, because it looks like it's going to be kind of silly. So we're going to... Where's the chat? I haven't actually looked this up in a while, so... disable I'm looking for. Wow, I actually have no idea where chat is at. Display 777, disable battle chat. There we go. We kept looking over it. Alright, there we go. So battle chat's been disabled, because obviously we don't need that for a replay. So now you can see its blistering speed. For a tank that weighs this much, honestly, it really isn't that bad. I'm kind of just giving it a hard time. But, you know, it does have the ability to get some armor into a place fairly quickly. But on open maps like this, I swear that I just turned chat off. Did I turn it off for myself and now I still have to see it in the replay? Alright. So anyway, I believe I get to this fight against 2 E100s. That's the majority of what this fight is going to be about. I am paired with JRJAC. That's my battle buddy for this fight. We're going to slowly roll forward. We're going to pick it up a little bit because obviously we'd be here for the next 6 hours trying to wait for this thing to show up. So we blap that mutts there, and I mean that felt pretty good. You know, the aim time really isn't all that bad. And I guess maybe I give this tank a little more grief than it really deserves, but it's so out of place in random battles right now, and I don't think there's any other way to really actually put this thing in a good situation. I wish you could see my face right now. Like I don't know how to do it. So now we begin the poke games. We're just poking back and forth between stuff. That was actually like a lucky shot. That was no skill involved there whatsoever. The turret on this thing is very sturdy. I mean, the armor, when used correctly, it's just most times you don't get the ability to do so because you're always in a poke formation. You can see how flat this armor really is when you come around, that instance there. And this is the one that another good thing the tank actually has is a lot of gun depression. I forgot about that when I was playing. I'm like, hey, maybe I can drop around this guy and he won't really expect me for doing this the first time, And he caught me off guard. I caught him off guard, sorry. He was able to return fire. So that actually worked really well. So more of the back and forth stuff. And with no arty in this game, it makes it alright. I think at some point I'd finally just push over. I think it's happening right now. Wait for him to take a shot. And then they both fire. So I figure I'm able to go now. Took a round. I might take another one here, I think. From this guy. Yes. Oh, look! And there goes my ammo rack! Like clockwork. Getting shot anywhere in the side of this tank makes you lose your ammo rack. I remember saying that at the beginning of this video. It doesn't matter where, honestly. So now we're just playing poke games again, waiting for my other E100 to show up. When I switched to the premium round on this, I think I bounce around with this guy's. It's like watching two people just throw themselves. This guy is really brave here. I'm not sure why they poked out so hard. I'm guessing they assume the game is almost over. But, you know. It isn't really an awful tank. I think I bounced here, yeah. That was another thing that actually really upset me. It's really difficult to get through the face of an E100. I had a fight on Insk where I was forced to fight an E100 dead on. The only thing I could hit was the police car. And I just could not go through, no matter how hard I tried. And you see me trying here. Really, really trying. I had to wait. For like the perfect opportunity to go through this guy. That's frustrating. You know, because you're really not assisting anyone. You're not helping anyone. Because you can't drop around on anyone because you're not sure if it's going to pin or not. That's frustrating. That's just really frustrating. And I'm pretty sure I don't get any more damage for the rest of the game. So like this is pretty much I just took a random shot hoping for the best, but of course then to go through a T95 from the front. Ended up wrecking this guy. I'm going to go with a random shot, and then there's the grill. And Pinky goes down pretty quickly. I don't think I can get a shot on this guy either. To be testing out the new zoom options again. Yeah, I just missed that one. So honestly, that honestly is this tank. I mean, I don't want to say it's disappointing, but it is. I think I'm not really sure how you fix it either. Like, I really hate saying a tank is bad without saying what's really wrong with it. But most super heavy tanks in this game are kind of left out. There's nothing you really can do. I mean, even this thing was able to use like another gun, it still wouldn't offset how bad it is, how slow it is, how unwieldy it is, even in city maps, because you're just so ginormous. And you can see how big I was compared to an E100. You're even bigger. I want to say this is the biggest super heavy in the game, straight up. And while, you know, maybe it would have served a purpose somewhere in real life if they could have built a suspension to hold the thing, in this game, I feel it. None of the Japanese heavies hold a place. None of them. It's the OI and the OI Experimental basically changed Tier 5 and Tier 6 so drastically that, you know, you were basically forced to use premium rounds to get through those things. And some people might go, well, that's not bad. That's what it was meant to do, and yada, yada, yada. No, I'm sorry. If you really, really, really can't get anywhere around the tank and pin it, then you've got an issue. You shouldn't be forced to have to use premium rounds to fight in that tier. Tier 10, I can see it. Tier 9, I can see it. Tier 8, I can see it. Maybe even Tier 7. But Tier 6? That's cutting it, man. That's really difficult to understand, really difficult to see. So, I mean, I can't really endorse that. But that's just me. Anyway, that was the Type 5. Hopefully, I hope to see you guys in the next video. If you liked it, please, please, please like me on the bottom and subscribe. Also, don't forget to watch me on Twitch. Until next time, guys, I will see you later.